excited to start our prep as a team. We staffed yesterday, and but we're with our players today. A huge challenge against a great Miami team. Very impressive, really in all three phases. A lot of twitched up athletes playing fast, playing with a nasty edge. Coach Cristobal's done a great job. Offensively, quarterback Carson Beck really playing well. Receiving core impressive, offensive line veteran impressive, running back over 1,100 yards defensively. Really shutting people down, creating turnovers, creating havoc up front. The two ends are a big challenge. Corey's got them flying around, and their teams are good. So, be a great challenge.
Great. We'll start with Scott Dockerman.
Hi. Hi, Curt. This is Scott with The Athletic. I wanted to ask you about retaining Bob Bostad. What went into that decision? How much did you know about Bob before you elected to keep him? And then what were the conversations like as you built the offense because you hadn't worked with him before? How was the conversations built as to how you were going to work offensive line with your passing structure and running structure?
Yeah, I think Bob Bostad was a key addition to the staff. I had known of his name for about 10 or 12 years and his reputation. And when I looked sort of like who was still on who was on the roster in terms of the coaching staff last year, and I saw that he had been the line coach, that excited me. And I offered him, the opportunity to stay right away. And I don't think it took him real long to make a decision. And in terms of the transition with the offensive staff, Mike Shanahan, and at the time, Tino Sinceri, quarterback coach, John Miller, running back coach, Grant Kane, tight end coach, had all been with me at JMU, and I'm involved offensively in the meetings. I think putting it all together was really easy because Bob's a vet, and his philosophy in terms of the run game was aligned with mine and Mike's. And then it was just a matter of, okay, pass pro, what will our calls be? How are we going to do it? What 5-man, 6-man, 7-man protections are we going to carry? And he's just done a tremendous job. He's a great developer. He gets a ton out of his guys. The whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. And we've been, very consistent and very balanced between the run and the pass.
Great. Next, we will go to Brandon Marcello. Brandon, go ahead. Brandon, go ahead and unmute yourself.
There, you got me. Sorry about that. Coach, congrats on the success so far. I was wondering, when you look at developing and coaching players throughout the career, how different is a player, say, in year 2 compared to, say, year 4 or even year 5 when you're coaching them?
Well, I think when you're talking about the high school signees, they change a lot between their freshman year and their senior year. And now, their developmental curve is different. Every guy's a little bit different. Some come in more ready to play than others. Some it takes a while to mature physically. Some it's mental. But there's no question about it that, a 22-year-old is a little wiser, older, bigger, stronger. He's had 4 years in the offense, defense, or special teams, and he's a more productive player.
How much you think has helped your success here in the early goings there in the first 2 years that a lot of the guys or some of the guys are a little bit older that can help bring along like second and third year guys?
No, I think it helps us a ton, but that's what we would look for too. When I came, it was a quick process, a 3-day hiring process. And when I got here, we had 10 offensive starters in the transfer portal, and we had 1 returner on defense. So we were down to 40 scholarships, by day 3. And so, we needed to hit the portal hard. And, we signed 22 guys that had all been 2-3-year starters with consistent production. I knew we had flipped the roster. And then every year, as your high school recruiting builds up, you kind of start to wean down a little bit from the portal. So you'll never be at a point where you don't engage with the portal. And, this year we'll take a few less than we took last year, and we took a few less last year than we did the year before. But I think getting older, mature guys that played a lot of football, if they got the right stuff, which they're not, I'm not bringing them in if they don't, it's an asset.
Great. Next, we'll go to Bill Bender. Bill, go ahead.
Coach, thanks for doing this. Kind of building off Brandon's question. What to you is that perfect balance of guys in the transfer portal and then guys that you have recruited, and how you've been able to develop all of that talent as you get into the next couple of years with your program?
Yeah, I don't look at it that way. I think in college football nowadays, you got to win every year. With social media the way it is, the pressure to be successful, you got to put together a team that's ready to compete for championships every single year. So now, the more success you have, the better you're going to recruit from the high school ranks, and those guys will develop, and most of them will redshirt, but some will play as a freshman. We're always going to bring in 20, give or take one or two high school guys. I think we brought in 23 this year, and some of those guys are ready to help us right away in some capacity. But the portal guys, you're bringing them in because you have a critical need where you have to fill a hole on your football team. So we've been successful doing it. College football's changed a lot, obviously, still changing. You got to adapt, improvise, be light on your feet, if you're going to survive. And that's where I think all that recruiting coordinator experience I had in the past too, as well as coaching, probably benefited me.
Great. Now we'll go to the line of Andrea Adelson. Andrea, go ahead.
Hey, Curt, thanks for doing this. Obviously, we've all seen the success you've had there since your arrival, but I'm wondering, what would you say to folks who think that Indiana may still be a, quote, Cinderella story, considering the past history of the program?
Well, define Cinderella story in the context of Indiana. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that.
A team that has risen up despite the past that shows there has not been a lot of winning tradition.
Well, I think that's a fact. If you look at, the record since Indiana started playing football and relative to the success we've had the last 2 years, we've broken a lot of records here in terms of wins, championships, postseason games, top 10 wins on the road, et cetera, top 10 wins, period. And so, it's been kind of surreal, but, you get it done with the right people, properly led, and you got to have a blueprint plan and process. You got to have the right people on your staff and the right people in the locker room. And we've been fortunate to have great staff continuity. With Bryant and Mike have been with me 11, 12 years, and a lot of other guys on the staff, 5, 6, 7 years. And then down, in the locker room, we got a lot of older guys that have high character, great leadership traits. They can buy into the team vision. They're very consistent day in, day out in terms of, being committed and disciplined and working hard toward improvement, staying focused on the goal, keeping the eye on the bullseye, so to speak. And, being able to sort of enter every Saturday prepared with the right mindset and then putting it on the field. So it's all about people. And then you got to have a blueprint and a plan. And I think, there's no question about it. That's what's gotten us to this point.
Thank you.
Now we'll go to the line of Zachary Osterman. Zach, go ahead.
Curt, I'm curious, and I suspect I know at least to some extent the answer to this question, but you've been, kind of in championship game settings. Your dad was in them, you were in them as an assistant, you've been in them, kind of as a head coach. Like, do you change anything approaching a game like this at all? Or do you almost sort of reinforce the extent to which nothing changes in a game like this from your experience?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to prepare for this game no different than we prepared for Ohio State and Alabama. You know, the biggest mistake our guys can make, and that I'll talk to them tonight in the team meeting about this, is making this game bigger than it is, and you know, going down that road. Then that would be detrimental, you know, to our preparation and our performance. This week is no different than any other week. We have to be on point. We have to stack meetings, practices, and go in totally prepared. But then you got to put it on the field, you know, against a great opponent.
Great. We'll go to the line of Jeff Rabjohns. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, thanks for your time. I wanted to get your thoughts on your defense. 3 postseason wins, all 3 over top 10 teams, only 35 points allowed, only 28 outside of garbage time, 25 TFLs, 11 sacks. Just what do you think of the level of impact your defense is proving they can play at in the postseason specifically?
Well, you know, we were excellent against Ohio State, Alabama, against Oregon. You know, we created 3 turnovers and blocked a punt, which was 4, led to 21 points. And, you know, it starts with Bryant Haynes. He's the leader of the defense, and, you know, he goes in with a good plan and puts our guys in position to attack and make plays. But then the credit goes to the guys on the field. You know, leader of the defense is Aiden Fisher, but every unit has its leaders, and it all starts up front with, you know, stopping the run and affecting the quarterback. And, you know, turnover ratio is huge, getting the takeaways and then limiting the explosive plays in good and critical situations. And, you know, we're playing a little shorthanded. You know, we've lost some guys that were valuable contributors. But you know, it's been the next man up mentality, like Daniel Ndukwe, who made a couple big plays in that game, blocked a punt also. You know, we haven't skipped a beat, so to speak. Now there were a few more cleanup plays coming out of the Oregon game than the other games, partly because of the conflict Oregon can put you in offensively with tight ends that run like receivers and spread you out and create some throwing lanes. But, you know, you got to be great. You got to be really consistent in all 3 phases to be successful. And I think that's what this team has been. We've been pretty consistent on offense, defense, and special teams. And for the most part, you know, we've played at a high level from play 1 to 150, regardless of the competitive circumstances.
Thanks, Coach.
Next, we'll go to Michael Nizoliak. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Curt, I know your offense has evolved and personnel has obviously changed, but does facing Corey Heatherman add kind of any wrinkles to game planning, given his familiarity with your scheme and Mike Shanahan? And I know you mentioned that he is a bit different scheme-wise than Bryant Haynes is. What's unique about his kind of approach versus Bryant?
Well, I think we've evolved offensively since he was my defensive coordinator first 3 years at JMU. We've evolved offensively. Terminology's changed. We do things differently, but his scheme has too. Now, philosophically, you know, in terms of what we think is important, him and I, that hadn't changed. You know, he's going to create havoc up front. Stop the run, TFLs, sacks. They got 47 sacks on the year. And he's going to attack. The way he goes about it is a little different than the way he went about it at JMU, but, you know, the way we go about it offensively is a little different too. So, you know, I got a lot of respect for Corey. He did a tremendous job when I hated to see him go. I hold him in very high regard. He's one of the best football coaches I've ever been around. His day in, day out intensity and his commitment to the game is unparalleled. But I was fortunate to have Bryant Haynes on my staff, who was ready to step into that role. And they're a little different because they're different people. And you know, Bryant likes to do a lot of different things, but we do them well. But the philosophy is still the same in terms of it all starts up front. And, you know, statistically, since Bryant's taken over, you know, it's about like it was when Corey was a coordinator. You know, we're always in the top 5 in total defense, 1 or 2 against the run, very high in TFLs and sacks. And but in terms of the schematics, man zone, the kind of blitzes, the fronts, we've changed a little bit, and I've seen Corey change based on what I'm seeing on tape.
Next up is Pete DePremio. Pete, go ahead.
Yeah, hey Curt, I'm wondering with D'Angelo Pons playing wide receiver, was that game specific? Did you think about doing that during the regular season? And have you ever played a guy two ways? And if not, would you?
That was specific to a certain situation and down and distance in this game, that against Oregon, this past game. He's a tremendous athlete. He's got great stop-start, speed and quickness. He's a baller. And he went in and executed the play perfectly, and they gave us the look where we would throw the ball and not hand it off. And then he outran him to the perimeter and got the first down. He was a high school quarterback also. And there's a lot of things he could probably do. And we'll see how much we use him over there this week.
All right, we'll go to the line now of Adam Rittenberg. Adam, go ahead.
Hey, Curt, appreciate your time. You mentioned being a little shorthanded defensively. How are you guys doing just from a health standpoint, freshness standpoint, Kamara and others going into this game on Monday?
Yeah, we came out really good, and everybody that played in the last game will play in this game.
And just really quickly, what do you think the legacy of the guys you brought over from James Madison will ultimately be at Indiana? And has there been anything that they've done or continue to do that surprised you at this point?
Well, I think they've been a big part of what's transpired here, especially year one in the transition. We had a lot of guys decide to stay. They had the right stuff. A lot of new guys, the JMU guys, probably represented about half of the transfers we brought in December. And they were probably able to answer some questions for the new guys, the returners too, in terms of how we do things and about me and the other coaches. So in terms of their legacy, I don't think that book's final chapter's been written yet. And when it has been written, then I think we'll all have a clear idea.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Sammy Jacobs. Sammy, go ahead.
Coach, thanks for doing this. I wanted to ask about Pat Coogan and how easy it makes it in film to hammer home the finish the play when he's 20 or so yards downfield jumping on a fumble. It's the second time he's done it this year. Just how does that help the philosophy of your team?
Well, he's a winner. Pat Coogan's a winner. And but we got a lot of guys like Pat Coogan. But he's been a great addition. Played a lot of football at Notre Dame. We needed a center. He saw the opportunity. He's been key to the development of the offensive line, one of the leaders on our football team. And, this team has really grown closer as the season's gone on. It's a very tight group. And this team has probably taken the message of how we want to play and put it on the field to a greater extent than any of the other teams we've had. And Pat's a key part of that. He's very highly respected by his teammates. He prepares great. I mean, you're on the plane, traveling, you'll see Pat back there, he's reading his notes, writing things down. Game means a lot to him. And the fact that he was 20 yards down the field and recovered that fumble, it didn't surprise me a bit that it was Pat Coogan. We just got to teach him now, once he recovers it, to roll over it properly.
All right, and our last question today will come from Chris Vanini. Chris, go ahead.
Hi, Curt. Fernando Mendoza, he talks to us in the media like a coach. Like, he sounds like a coach. I'm curious, what is his communication like within the team and within the program and when you're working with him?
Well, Chandler Whitmer probably and Derek Owens, our strength and conditioning coach, have more day in, day out involvement with Fernando than I do. And I can tell you this, that the best way to lead a team is to perform well, and especially at the quarterback position. I've never tried to make that guy the leader in spring ball because his performance will speak for itself. And he is highly, highly respected in the locker room. And the way he's played speaks for itself. I mean, I thought he was excellent against Oregon, and he's just, even since the Heisman Trophy, he's upped his level of play. And he's a special guy. I mean, he's extremely intelligent, and people recognize that. And he says the right things, and he'll be really successful one day when football ends, whatever it is he chooses to do. And he's got a great relationship with the guys, and it's mainly the older guys, obviously. Those guys hang together. And but I think what he's done behind the scenes to to bring the offensive unit even closer together, and that's a lot. Those are a lot of things that I'm not aware of at the time. Find out later. He's just done a tremendous job in every single area where you could impact team success. He's been front and center.
When you do talk with him, do you come away just impressed at his maturity and the way he kind of carries himself and talks to you?
When I talk to him, the conversations are usually pretty short, and he doesn't say a lot in the building or on the practice field. He's not a vocal guy. Where you, I think, get a full taste of Fernando Mendoza is during the interview process, whether it's during the week or after the game. And, it's always an A+ interview.
Hard-working guys, that they're high achievers. So, and the way that we work here, the blueprint here, the regiment here, it's very demanding. And if that's not your thing, it's not going to work, And so the fact that we had all these like-minded individuals from all over the place, I mean, we're as national as Miami has ever been from a roster standpoint, all positions. But again, it doesn't matter if you're from 1 mile away or 1,000 miles away. If you're made of the right stuff, you've got the right heart and the right mindset, it works. And the team is very evenly made up of all three of those, different buckets of talent. And the older guys have done a great job just doing, I would say, just bringing along, showing our younger guys what it's supposed to look like now, not later, but right now. And that's his, in terms of expediting their experience and their ability to contribute, they've been a huge part of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. At this time, I'll turn it back over to Cameron. They're in the room for any final questions.
Do a couple more in the room before turning it off, but we'll go with David Lake in the front.
Coach, you faced Fernando last year at Cal, and I'm curious just what you remember about his performance in that game and what you would say about maybe his growth since that time to what he's doing now.
You saw all the things that you see now, except the supporting cast right now is very different. Certainly the system is completely different, but you're looking at a massive physical, tough offensive line that is on point. They don't make mistakes. Their IDs are exactly what they need to be when they need to be that way. Their receivers are big time playmakers, and they do it with, back shoulder, underthrown fades. They do it by running by you underneath, finding soft spots in zone coverage, and complemented by a very physical downhill run game, and one that could circle you as well. So a guy like that in that system with that level of coaching, where, he's been coached to continue to progress at such a high level. It's you see the player, you saw the talent last year. The supporting cast wasn't there yet, and they were a really good team, we thought. But this year, obviously, it's a whole different level with where he's at.
Well, Will, Chris, and then we'll go Tim.
All season long, whether it be to the media, to your players, that 1-0 mentality has just been your theme. When the 1-0 now means a national championship, what does that message mean to you? How does that resonate with the players? Like, how does it change this week, the 1-0 mentality?
Yes, sir. Well, Will, I don't think you make the game any heavier than what it is. I think it's really important that 1-0, earning 1-0 and earning the opportunity to cut it loose on game day, it's still a process, right? And it started last January, and it carries over all the way through the course of the week. And you don't stray from that. The only thing you change of that is you just make it better and better each and every week. Like, you really dig deep as a coach. Hey, how can I make this process better? But you don't go about based on a theme and a philosophy that has brought you, to this point, and, to come this far. You don't stray from it to go farther. So we stay along the lines of what we've been doing.
Chris, we're talking inside you spoke about Fernando obviously a lot just now, but their offensive guys. Indiana on defense, just your impressions of them, what you've seen from them defensively.
They're the best overall team and best defense we have faced. I know that their rankings and anything statistically important are between 1 and 5. And it starts with this. They're really fast, physical, explosive, talented, and smart. They play with a lot of physicality, a lot of violence. They understand their scheme top to bottom. They make it very challenging, and I'll tell you why. They're multiple up front, they're multiple on the back end. And so the way that they understand what you're doing so well, they set up and line up in a manner where they challenge your IDs. You know, they've done a great job confusing opponent offensive lines with how they line up and how they bluff and disguise what they're doing, not only in the front seven, but on the back end. That's a challenge with them. And you got to understand, these guys, they played a lot of games together. A lot of these guys came over from JMU. They went deep into the playoffs, right, a year ago. They've been in this system and have played a lot of ball together. And therefore, that's why you see the instantaneous reactions, right? The physicality and the way that the closing speed that they have on a down after down basis. And on top of all that, and I think it's really worth pointing out from a technique and fundamental standpoint, that's what really stands out to me, because they play with their feet in the ground with great pad level and with elite use of their hands. They understand how to leverage the ball and what to do when they get there. And they, from a turnover margin standpoint, they're number 1 in the country, and they play great complementary football. You witnessed some of it, you know, in their last game, but if you look throughout the course of the season, from the first series at Iowa to this last weekend with the pick 6 and the forced fumble and whatnot, they do a great job playing complementary football.
Wrap up with that. To continue with the experience theme, Carson started 40-something games in his career. Obviously, he's talked about a year about the poise and the leadership he shows, but poise is one thing. Poise, when you have 3 minutes for your season, is a very different animal. When you look back at the drive, where does that calmness, that inner resolve, whatever you want to call it, come from, that he made every smart play he had to make to win the game with everything riding on?
Well, tribute to him, testament to him and his teammates. So many different things on that drive, right, that were executed at a high level. You know, a handful of third downs that were not the easiest in the world, but elite protection, elite route running, contested catches, being hard to tackle, turning a 3rd and 12 to a 3rd and 7 instead, all those things, right? The margins, we always talk all year long, right? The margins get smaller and smaller and smaller as the year goes on. And the margins with 3 minutes to go and ball in hand were like this. And, you know, obviously we want to play a cleaner game. There were some things that we know that we took a step back in pre-snap penalties, some post-snap IQ decisions, some alignment issues, which we feel great about correcting. But when it comes down to it, the resilience, the toughness, the fact that we just felt that that game, it just meant more to our guys, and they were going to find a way to get it done. But you have to execute, and they did. And I think all those Wednesdays, when we come out there and do 2 minute, which we've done now for the year, I believe 37, you know, scenarios like that. And we go back and forth. Offense wins sometimes it's a defense. For them, it was routine.